So, about 2 weeks ago, I decided to get myself a new camera and I settled on the Panasonic Lumix GX9, which is Panasonic's latest model in the GX series. I thought I'd make a video on why I chose that camera in case you're in the market to buy a new one or that camera specifically. So to give my reasons and justifications more meaningful context, I thought I'd share why I was looking for a new camera in the first place. So I've only started getting into photography about several months ago, really, and it started with astrophotography actually. But the lens and camera I had, which is right now the Panasonic Lumix G3, I bought in 2012, and the 14 to 42 kit lens, which goes from 3.5 to 5.6, was obviously not up to the task. The lens was too slow, and the low light performance of the G3 is just terrible, I would say. But coincidentally, I saw a post on Facebook of somebody selling their old Lumix lenses. Turns out he sold his camera and he had a bunch of lenses that he wanted to sell, two of which caught my eye, which is the 14mm f2.5 and the Leica 25mm f1.4. And so I asked, how much are you selling it? And he honestly just wanted to get rid of it. So crazy, he decided to sell me both of those lenses for, in US dollars, it would be about $200, maybe 220 US dollars. For both lenses, that's crazy. That's a good deal. So I didn't even hesitate. I took both lenses and I regret nothing. Because with the 14mm wide, and fairly fast aperture, 2.5, it's okay. I managed to get some pretty good shots of the night sky. And I got even better ones, although not a wide kind of sort of look, with the Leica 25mm f1.4 of the Milky Way right from the city center. Disclaimer though, I did use stacking to improve my images, so it turned out great. But the crazy thing was, for me, I had no idea the impact that a good lens would have on image quality, because it made my photos look really, really good. And because of that, I started taking way more photos than I normally would. I took my camera pretty much everywhere, took a lot of photos of my family, my kid, my wife. I wouldn't say professional looking, but really, really decent photos with that sort of background separation, with the blur and the... But the more photographs I took, the more stuff I learned on the internet, from YouTube, the more experience I gained, I sort of realized the shortcomings of my Lumix G3, of my 8-year-old camera. So here are some of the things I was unhappy about with my G3. I was unhappy with the high ISO performance. I was pretty much capped at 1600. Beyond that, the noise was insane, unusable basically. I wasn't too impressed with the dynamic range. Push it more than 1.5 stops and it starts becoming way too grainy. So you need to get that exposure on point all the time. Sharpness and motion blur was a constant struggle. On top of that, the camera looked kind of ugly and the screen is pretty worn out as well. So I was definitely keeping an eye out on a new camera. But the question is, which one, right? So based on the problems that I was having with the camera, I told myself that I should get a camera with a modern sensor, a modern image processor, good high ISO performance. Again, when I say good, above 1600 it's good enough. 3200, 6400, if it's usable, I'd be happy. I also wanted IBIS to get sort of sharper photos more often. I also wanted to have a reasonable AFC performance in burst mode, because I like taking photos of my kid running around. But of course, the problem with that is having it in focus, and this thing struggled a lot. You know, chances are you'd get 20-30% of photos in focus when using AFC in burst mode. So I really needed a camera that could do better than that. Additionally, the camera must also be light. It must also be cheap and portable for me to have any chance of wanting to bring it out and actually take photos with it, because that's the point of photography. If you're not willing to bring your camera around and take photos, you're not gonna have photos. Simple as that, right? So the budget that I settled on was about $600 to $700 and with the lenses that I already have, it only makes sense to stick to the Micro Four Thirds system, which is what the sensor of my camera, right? Micro Four Thirds. So with all those boundary conditions set, the sensible choice, the most bang for your buck choice would be the Panasonic Lumix GX85 or GX80. The reviews have been positive across the board. Brand new, it's $500, so it's under budget. It has 2 lenses with it as well, a standard zoom and a telephoto zoom. So that was pretty neat, and that was very tempting. I really wanted to get that camera. But at the same time, the successor to the GX80 or GX85, which is the GX9, has the latest 20 megapixel sensor with the latest engine image processor, Venus I think it's called. I don't know which version, I can't find much detail about it, but they keep claiming it's the latest one. So the idea of having the latest sensor, in my mind, means I could probably use it for a longer period without feeling like it's too outdated, right? So, on top of that, it's not too far off from my budget. Brand new, it's $1,000, but you can regularly find it on sale for $800. So it's about $100 away, but I still am not willing to pay that much money. So instead, I went to eBay to look for used GX9s that are sort of under $700. And I found one. Somebody from the UK was selling the Panasonic Lumix GX9 with a 12 to 32 and a 45 to 200. And on top of that, he also has the eyepiece for the viewfinder, and also the external grip, right? And he was selling it for roughly around $750. So I thought that was a pretty good deal. So I jumped on that, and long story short, it's on its way here. The eBay seller was really nice to me as well. He was very accommodating. He offered me free international shipping, and not even a cheap one. He made the effort to actually take quotes from different companies and get the fastest one. All right, what a legend! Yeah, what a legend. Well, but let's be real for a second. Yeah, it's not the best camera, and probably not even the best camera in its price range. But for me, it's just good value for money, and it fits all my needs, Although the GX85 is still the better value, having that latest sensor and that image processor is, to me, reassuring and is worth paying just a bit more money for, right? For longevity, I hope, at least. Right, so when that camera comes in, I'll definitely do probably an unboxing and first impressions. Maybe a not so detailed review is just sort of trying to decide whether it actually was worth it upgrading from this camera to that camera, even though I have really good lenses already and the image looks pretty decent, right? I mean, I'm not in focus. Oh, okay. Well, that's all I have to say for now. I'll be testing that camera out a lot when it comes in, and I'll share my findings soon. I'll let you know if it really was worth it to upgrade to that camera. Yeah, well, until next time, whenever that may be. See ya.